Ayodhya is identified by some with the legendary city of Ayodhya, and as such, is the birthplace of Rama and setting of the epic Ramayana. The accuracy of this identification is central to the Ayodhya dispute. Modern scholars variously believe that the present-day Ayodhya is same as the legendary Ayodhya, or that the legendary city is a mythical place that came to be identified with the present-day Ayodhya only during the Gupta period, around the 4th to 5th century AD. In 1992, it led to the demolition of the Babri Masjid mosque by Hindu mobs, with the aim to replace it with the temple of Rama. Janmabhoomi, literally, Rama's birthplace, is the name given to the site that is hypothesized to be the birthplace of Rama, believed to be the seventh avatar of the Hindu deity Vishnu. The Ramayana states that the location of Rama's birthplace is on the banks of the Sarayu River, in a city called Ayodhya. A section of Hindus in India claim that the exact site of Rama's birthplace is where the Babri Masjid once stood in the present-day Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh. According to this theory, the Mughals demolished a Hindu shrine that marked the spot and constructed a mosque in its place. People opposed to this theory state that such claims arose only in the 18th century, and that there is no evidence for the spot being the birthplace of Rama. Owing to the belief as the birthplace of Rama, Ayodhya has been regarded as one of the 7 most important pilgrimage sites for Hindus. It is believed that the birth spot of Rama was marked by a temple, which is said to have been demolished by the orders of the Mughal Emperor Babur, and a disputed mosque erected in its place. The Ayodhya dispute concerns activism by Hindu groups to rebuild a grand temple of Rama at the site of Janmabhoomi. The 5 judges of the Supreme Court bench heard the title dispute cases from August to October 2019. On the 9th of November 2019, the Supreme Court, headed by Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi, vacated the previous decision and ruled that the land belonged to the government per tax records. It further ordered the land to be handed over to a trust to build the Hindu temple. It also ordered the government to give alternate 5-acre land to Sunni Waqf Board to build the mosque. More than 230 years after the construction of Babri Masjid in Ayodhya, the first recorded incident of religious violence over the site took place in 1853. During the reign of Nawab Wajid Shah of Awadh, Mohis, a Hindu sect, claimed that a Hindu temple, Ram Temple in Ayodhya, how events unfolded over the years, had been destroyed during Babur's times to build the mosque. 6 years later, the British administration erected a fence to divide the site into 2 parts. While the Muslims were allowed to pray inside the mosque, the outer court was reserved for the Hindus. In January 1885, Mohan Tragubadnas filed a plea in Faizabad District Court, seeking permission to build a canopy on the Ram Kabutra outside the mosque. The plea was rejected. In 1949, one Gopal Singh Visharad filed a petition before a Faizabad court to worship the deity of Ram Janmabhoomi after idols of Ram Lala were found a year before inside what then was Babri Masjid. Hashim Ansari, a resident of Ayodhya, approached the court, saying the idols should be removed and it be allowed to remain a masjid. The government locked the place, but priests were allowed to perform daily puja. In 1961, Muhammad Hashim filed a suit pleading for restoration of the property to Muslims. The Sunni Central Waqf Board filed suit in Faizabad Civil Court, declaring Babri Mosque as property of board. During 1980s, a committee was formed to liberate the birthplace of Lord Ram and build a temple in his honor, spearheaded by the Vishwa Hindu Parishad Party (VHP). In 1986, Ayodhya district judge ordered that the gates of the disputed mosque to be opened to allow Hindus to worship there, on a plea by Hari Shankar Dubey. Muslims set up the Babri Mosque Action Committee in protest. Following the court's order, the Rajiv Gandhi government ordered the locks on the Babri Masjid gates to be removed. Before the court's order, only a Hindu priest could perform an annual puja. After the ruling, all Hindus were given access to the site, and the mosque gained some function as a Hindu temple. In 1989, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad laid the foundation of a Ram temple on the land next to the Babri Masjid. Justice Dyoki Nandanagahul, former VHP vice president, filed a case asking for the mosque to be shifted elsewhere. 4 suits that were pending at the Faizabad court were transferred to a special bench of the High Court. In 1990, the BJP, under the leadership of its then president, L.K. Advani, organized a national Rath Yatra from Somnath in Gujarat to Ayodhya. The purpose of the rally was to support the Ram temple agitation, which was at that time being led by the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. The procession involved thousands of volunteers from the Sangh Parivar. The yatra began in Somnath, Gujarat, on September 25, 1990, and passed through hundreds of villages and cities. It travelled approximately 300 kilometers a day, and Advani often addressed 6 public rallies in a single day. On October 23, 1990, the then PM, VP Singh, authorized Lalu Prasad Yadav, the CM of Bihar, to arrest Advani. The then BJP president was taken into preventive custody as his procession crossed the UP-Bihar border. Widespread communal riots took place along the route of the procession. These riots further intensified following the arrest of Advani. In 1992, the disputed Babri Mosque was razed to the ground by the Kasvaks on December 6, in the presence of Shiv Sena, VHP and BJP leaders. The demolition provoked widespread communal riots across the country. At least 2,000 people died in the violence. In 2003, the ASI conducted a survey of the disputed site and found evidence of the presence of a large Hindu complex under the mosque. Muslim organizations disputed the findings. In 2010, the Allahabad High Court pronounced its judgment on the 4 title suits relating to the dispute. The HC ruled that the disputed land be divided into 3 parts, 1/3 to Ram Lalla, represented by the Hindu Mahasabha, 1/3 to the Islamic Waqf Board, and the remaining third to the Nirmohi Akara. In December, the Akhil Bharatiya Hindu Mahasabha and the Sunni Waqf Board moved the Supreme Court, challenging the HC ruling. On February 26, 2016, Subramanian Swamy filed a plea in SC, seeking construction of Ram temple at the disputed site. On November 9, 2019, a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court ordered the disputed land, 2.77 acres, to be handed over to a trust to be created by the Government of India to build the Ram Janmabhoomi temple. The court also ordered the government to give an alternate 5 acres of land in another place to the Sunni Waqf Board for the purpose of building a mosque. The 5-judge bench that passed the order was headed by the then Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi. He retired 8 days after passing the judgment on November 17. The other 4 judges were Justice Sarbobt, Justice D. Chandrawad, Justice Ashok Bhushan and Justice S. Abdul Nazir. The trust for the construction of Ram temple was named Shri Ram Janmabhoomi Kshetra. The trust has 15 members, with one of them from the Dalit community. The trust is led by Mohanty Gopal Das. On August 5, 2020, the foundation stone for the construction of Ram temple was laid by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister unveiled a plaque and released a commemorative postal stamp.